Welcome to a fine gaming experience, everyone. It's Bricks, or This Way Lies Madness. I got the usual co-host with me.
Hey there, somehow still alive.
In these interesting times, at least everything doesn't look like it does in the background here.
No. Oh, some nice bones.
And fishies.
Whoa. Suddenly an aquarium.
One thing I like is that you can look directly in your fish tank and see all the little pets you got.
What is that new dance?
It's just, kabuki my way to the door.
I'm sorry. Little fun tip. Some of those dances and animations can actually do damage to monsters. Not a lot, not enough that you should probably win with them, but there are some special ones you can get that actually do a little bit. So keep an eye out for those. Try everything out. Try to smack a Gyros or something.
I haven't seen one where there's like a Dark Souls moment of someone laying down to avoid an attack or such yet. More upgrades for the tree.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ones I just did was expand the collection box here, so you can see I got an extra line.
Did you see how much honey, for doing literally nothing more than spending just a little bit of your research points, how much honey you get out of this thing? And right now it's 2 plus 6, so coming back and spending those upgrade ingredients is a really good idea. But this is the point in the game where you're going to have to start paying attention to how many research points you're using, because not only does the tree use it, our new special Palico hunts also ends up using a ton of research points.
One thing, though, that I like with the Palico hunts is that some of them are more expensive if your guys are more skilled. So, if you're only having cheap, pretty crappy Palico hunts, you're not going to be spending a ton at least. Nature's Citadel. And he built a new arena, yep. Won't be showing that off for a bit, but that is a great place to fight.
Have a good.
A lot of event quests and other things. Is that where all your monsters go when you capture them?
You do get a bunch of special arena quests for each monster you capture.
And there's some cool things about that arena. I will say, and I mean this in the nicest way, if you're not too great at the game and you manage to capture something you have to farm, those arena quests are awesome, because a lot of monsters that are extremely devastating in their home territory can't use half their abilities.
Now is the time.
And some of those traps and whatnot they set up in there are awesome. So deeper into the Vale we go.
It's a pretty low-flying balloon.
Well, we're only using giant Palomu sacks to fly it, apparently.
It's breathtaking.
This is a really good view, though, of the Coral Highlands and just how pretty it is.
Who knows? They look so free. So, what's the bottom of the Vale like?
I could not say. Though we have learned much, what we have are mere facts, and not a single clue to what truth they add up to.
We know Zora Magdaros is heading there, but why?
The world is full of mysteries to consume us.
Yeah, and delicious mysteries to consume.
Ugh. Wouldn't be the handler without commenting on food. Or getting into a near-death situation. Or both.
Involving food. Yes, exactly.
Hey, I think I found something.
Let's set her down. Or not.
Chaos. Chaos.
As I thought.
Chaos reigns. I love this guy.
Really great design.
And one hell of an introduction, too.
We have disturbed its hunting grounds. We should regroup.
It is something they really point out a lot, is they're not trying to absolutely destroy or disturb the ecosystem too much. They do want to try to have some sort of symbiotic relationship with the monsters. I mean, culling does happen, but it's still important that you have some sort of semblance of control, because they don't want the monsters to just go, oh, these people are a problem, let's go eat their city.
Yeah, we're just kind of trying to understand the monsters a lot more. We're not trying to wipe them out. It's not everything bigger than a bread box will kill and make into armor, although we kind of do that.
A lot of that has to do with, and this is something that's sort of hidden in the subtext of Monster Hunter, but the idea of building your equipment off of monsters and kind of building the armor out of the prey of one monster to get strong enough to beat that monster and then wear its
Slow
skin,
and careful.
you're kind of evolving with the monsters themselves and kind of climbing up the food chain. There's a lot of subtext. You just have to pay attention to it. But despite the large number of things that we murder and bash over the head with our hammer, we're actually researchers.
This is a little annoying that they don't give me a chance to pick which base I wanted.
Yeah, that is annoying because it would be much easier to go to the secondary camp you picked.
Just gonna grab my goodies and then fly right back over there.
We haven't shown the map a lot, so this is an important thing to pay attention to, but if you pop your map open, you can go ahead and select the other camps. You may have to change layers, but you can always see it. And it's just free. Just an instant travel over to the other camp. You don't really lose anything for it.
There's not even a loading screen I had to edit out there, which is really nice. It's that quick. And this area to the left, we were mentioning last time, that pretty much every monster convenes right over here. And I wasn't kidding.
Be careful getting into a fight in this area. There is a lot of unusual terrain, but if you learn how to use it, there's tons of wall jumps, tons of slides, and our hammer user here is probably going to be pretty happy with that.
I don't get to slide as much as I would like in this one, surprisingly. And because it's a brand new monster, the tracks were leading from the initial tracks to where the next ones were, and once I got enough, now it's telling me where the monster is. But I changed up the stealth cloak there for something a little different. The glider mantle lets us do little jumps like that, and any wind puffs we can kind of get launched into the air to do aerial attacks with. It's a little gimmicky, but good.
Yeah. I was going to say, that if you have a weapon like the hammer or the greatsword, it's phenomenal, because those weapons are extremely good with their aerial attacks.
Now, this is one of the highest points we are at in the Coral Highlands. And even though I'm just wandering around a little bit here, I want to show it off because without the glider mantle, you would have to climb all the way up through this area in reverse. I'm just kind of hopping down, collecting stuff as I go, but it's a much harder trip up than down.
There are some wedge beetles you can grab, as you just saw right there, that make it a little bit easier to traverse. But yeah, it is a trip, and you are going to have to do it a couple times.
That's the monster we ran into earlier. Must be the big boss around these
And,
parts.
just missed.
Oh, yeah.
And this is what I hate with some of the flying guys, is they will decide to randomly move to another area. Guess where he's going?
He's going back up, isn't he?
Right back up.
And he will repeat that pattern a couple times. He also goes down to a little lower area there. But as long as you've still got power in your glider, you'll have no problems getting to the top.
And this mantle lasts a good while, too.
Perfect opportunity to bonk him. Very unimpressed. Oh, that works out, though. Now, a couple things about Legiana. Legiana is a monster that uses ice attacks. It has a lot of, as you can see, longer range attacks than it would normally have given its size. Its claw attacks are actually not very threatening at all. They're a little more than disturbing. But its nastiest thing is getting hit by those ice attacks can give you something that's called Cold Blight.
Right there.
Ice Blight, yes. Yeah, and if you don't cure this, you basically use up double stamina or more, meaning if you have a weapon like, let's say, the dual blades, you're going to have a bad time right here.
If you notice just how much stamina I went through running a short distance there, I went through half my stamina bar, and I barely moved. And like you were mentioning, all these ice moves are Legiana's powerful hits. Has two variations of it for the most part. Does one in a narrow line straight ahead, and will do one in a little circular wave right in front. I will pound you. Oh, I miss. The 5-hit combo.
Oh, the Big Bang combo is one of the best combos of the hammer, but unfortunately you don't get to see it that often.
I do get it off here at some point. Leggy is being very tricky for some of those moves. Mind you, I dodged, like, right under his tail a moment ago.
These are perfect hits, because you're going to advance a little with each one.
Already broke the head.
Yeah, that's some crazy damage. That was upwards of 400 or 500 damage with that combo alone.
Which the hammer is really good for.
Now, you notice it said the effects of the glider mantle have worn off. If you don't manually take your actual glider off, or you're not out of combat for a little while, it'll not restart replenishing. It's still on you, so its timer doesn't start ticking until you take it back off. So when you see that, try to, if you can, remember to take your mantles off so they can restart regenerating.
The glider mantle I can kind of afford to let timer down and reset at its own pace, but some of the more important ones later on, you must reset them as quickly as possible.
So the best place to fight Legiana when he's on the ground is right in front of his face. The worst place to fight him in that case is kind of at the side of the tail, because he does a lot of kind of these flip attacks. When he's in the air, he has far more options. But if you see that tail swipe right there didn't actually hit directly in front of him, so if you just roll through it, you can easily keep bonking on his head. But yeah, when he's in the air, he's got a lot of different attacks. He is, however, fairly weak, like most flying enemies are. And if you can land hits on him, he gets absolutely destroyed. Another full Big Bang all to the head. Oh.
Legi's pretty tough. Now, Legiana is the first real dragon we've encountered and fought as well. Haven't really taken on Rathalos and whatnot, even though we've seen them yet, but that'll be quite soon.
That Superman dive there, and you gotta rapidly press the button to get that attack off. Also, I noticed you're using the Flashfly Cage, which is an excellent weapon to use against Legiana.
Any flyer, really. Like you were mentioning, when Legiana's in the air, they got all those extra ice moves, but on the ground, they got tail swipes, a couple jumping claw moves, and that's pretty basic. A lot easier to handle when just on the ground like this.
It was about to fly away.
I was mentioning last time that the hammer, if you use it properly, you can have your opponent on the ground reeling for the majority of the fight, just like that.
And I'm going to say it again, because you absolutely destroyed poor Legiana there. This is Brix's weapon. This is something that he's used for a very long time, and this is the kind of skill level you will get. It's confidence. You will feel it. You'll go up against monsters, and once you're confident in your weapon, you'll see this giant monster and be like, I'm fine, I got my greatsword equipped. Which, by the way, is one of my confident weapons. I have two. that I'm extremely good with, the Lance and the Greatsword, which maybe at some point I'll be able to show that off and people can tell me how bad I actually am. But I find I do pretty well.
At some point, I'm hoping we'll have a couple multiplayer bits to show off together.
Finally got that mount.
Finally got a roll-off. That's what I love about this arena right here, is it's a big slope for the most part, and you can do a lot of your big moves like that.
There we go. This is a charge attack with the hammer. It's very hard to see, but you can see the button prompt at the top of the screen, and you can hear the boom, boom, boom as you charge up.
And you can release it early and do less damage. Pretty poor idea to do that, but sometimes you might be seeing, like, a party member or something about to break your mount.
Keep in mind, too, with mounting knockdowns are not as long as normal knockdowns. You can see how long you stayed knocked out from that second hit there. It's much longer. If you knock somebody down using your KO, it's going to be at least enough to get off most of your major combos. Oof, you got hurt there.
A lot.
But yeah, if you get a KO off of any of the mounts, you're going to notice it's much smaller. You're going to stay dizzy for less time, and most of the time you won't be able to hit a major combo, so just get the damage you can. Can't imagine Legiana's doing that well right now.
Not at all. I admit I'm kind of goofing around with the Purist Pods, but Legi's big enough you can get a lot of hits off if you hit him just right.
And Legiana is one of those monsters that if you follow my strategy of making the Flashfly or the Flash Pods recipe in your inventory with the Flash Flies to make them, if you actually do that, Legiana is kind of one of the easiest monsters in the game. You can just keep them on their butts. I highly recommend you don't get used to fighting flying monsters like that, because there are some later in the game, and we get to higher difficulties, that become resistant to the actual Flash Pods. And they can outright just stop having any concern about them whatsoever. They will ignore your Flash Pods completely.
Now, that uppercut move I just did to the Kelby, I wanted to show off just because it's so good for getting those horns off. And you want to collect those horns.
Do you remember what the horns are used for?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they're for your ancient potions, which are probably your best items. They max out your stamina and your health bar. So if you die in a mission and you can't eat again, great option. Also, we're seeing rare use of barrels here.
I'm going to wake him up in traditional hammer style.
Nice charge.
A little out of position, but boom.
You always want the last hit to hit him. That was a excellent hammer explosion there.
I was a little worried the barrels didn't actually connect, but if you look closely, they did. And I still captured him, so...
Yeah, that was a little arrogant. I mean, you could have killed him right there, but who cares? It was cool.
I had to show off the barrels at some point.
Now, do you want to explain the technique that was done there and why you did the hammer blow in such a way?
Well, that is my third level charge spinning release. And if I'm too close, those little spins I do right off the bat will hit. And they only do maybe 30-ish damage compared to the, I think it was 125 I did with that last hit.
Yeah, because you get double on any monster that's sleeping, even when they choose to sleep. So that, and there's a few weapons that have some really excellent single hits. That is probably one of the easier ones to hit. I'm not trying to downplay it. It's beyond my skill level. As a greatsword user, I'm still trying to get the True Charge Slash. It is the third hit of a flip-forward combo you do, and it does crazy damage. But I either miss it or usually hit with the tip of the sword by accident.
We'll be seeing the greatsword soonish. I want to do one more hunt to get some stuff, and then I will be doing a special event mission to get a special greatsword.
Is it my favorite?
It's a fun one, I'll say that much.
Okay.
Time has come. Let's head down to
I gotta hold off on it though, because one of the monsters in the event quest we haven't actually fought yet.
Ah, gotcha.
And because I have Iceborne installed, he's telling me I can do a little clutch claw thing, but again, I'll be showing that stuff off later.
Iceborne upgrades quite a few of the weapons and gives them some new skills.
Have a good.
I will say there's a few situations where I feel like they probably didn't actually need to upgrade some of them. Longsword would be one of those. But, I mean, Longsword fans out there, I'm sorry.
Longsword was already A tier.
Oh, yeah. Really cool. I love the ingot set. It's got a very regal look to it. I love the plates.
The female version is interesting because it's almost identical, but if you look closely at the headset, it actually comes with a set of earrings.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
And it's a very defensive set. A little thunder elemental, but not a lot. Some okay skills on it, but nothing too fantastic. It's a very average set, surprisingly.
The health boost is actually pretty handy. Defense boost is not a skill I recommend in most cases, just it doesn't give you enough for what you're getting.
There are some benefits if you stack it a lot, but I love this armor.
Very cool looking armor, and it actually has some phenomenal skills, especially if you like to play a lot of high flyer type characters that do lots of jumping attacks.
The female version I actually like a lot better than the male.
I don't know. I don't think I'd ever give up that helmet. The tiara style is cool, but
The skills on this set, though, are amazing. Divine Blessing, so that you randomly don't take damage. Evade window, so you can dodge. You have a better invincibility window when you dodge. Airborne, so that your air attacks will always hit. Ice attack, because he's ice elemental. And ice resistance. But the Legiana Blessing skill, just getting more rewards. It is beautiful.
there is actually a set of equipment you can get that is a event quest that gives you a better version of that same. But if you don't have that event quest or you haven't got that set, this is an excellent one to start with.
The Gala suit does that as well. Our proud kitty.
I love the giant glowing blue paw print on the chest.
And this is actually a pretty nice weapon here too, because it does 180 ice damage.
It actually makes your Palicos somewhat competitive in damage. Depends on the items you equip with them. Keep in mind that if you equip certain items to your Palico, they're not just assisting you, they'll also fight differently. They get slightly different AI for each of their Palico tools.
And we got someone new down here to show off. Although, we've seen them before, but they moved here. The Elder Melder.
The Elder Melder has a very interesting mechanic they can do. First of all, I'm going to say, even though you get them this early, I don't recommend using them that much. They allow you to trade in certain items to receive other items based on a set of point values. So you usually have to trade in pretty good stuff.
And to be honest, you can get a lot of these early items very easily. It's the later on ones that are incredibly rare, that are rare monster drops that you don't want to be fighting those big tough guys all the time.
One thing I do recommend getting, because it's just the parts are a little bit of a pain to get, I actually usually use the Elder Melder to get pitfall traps.
You can even get some monster bits there, as you see. You're having a hard time getting some of the rare materials. But it requires a couple different things. You not only need melding points, which you get from trading in items, and each flow fern here, for example, is only worth 1. I need 50 in total, so in goes 50 of those. And I need 40 research points.
And that only makes one recipe. Keep that in mind. You can actually throw in 100 of those, and then it will also double the research points required, and you can make multiple. But yeah, look at the Melder when they first come in, see if there's anything you're missing, but for the most part, try to use the crafting, because very often you'll find you actually have all the parts to make things. Jellyfish!
I like the flying Medusas. I had to put them in the room, and the Cactuars were scaring you a bit too much, I thought.
Yeah, they're terrifying. As a long-term Final Fantasy fan, I will say a Cactuar is both an exciting and terrifying experience.
Well, feeding jellyfish is kind of weird there, too. Gloop, 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 gloop. But next time, we will actually go to the Vale and explore its depths a little bit more. I hope you join me next time, and take care all.